Hey everybody, it's Gav here from GCRE TV. Today we have the CRE branding show with Stace, where we're going to talk about the 4 signs that you have earned the trust of an investor. Pretty interesting topic. If you are a syndicator or you're a real estate investor who is looking to speak with potential investors to get their money to acquire their funds or whatever it is you want to do with them, whether it's a partnership or something. Stace is going to go through that with you. I'm going to sit with him on the interview, and as he goes along, I'll be introducing questions as we go forward. So without further ado, let's introduce Stace. Hi, how are you?
Hey, Gavin. Great to be back. Things are good here. Looking forward to today's episode. It's something I've been thinking about for a while. And so we're going to talk about the 4 signs that you've earned an investor's loyalty. And if you haven't earned loyalty, we'll also tell you how you can build better loyalty more quickly.
Yes. Okay, good. So it should be a very interesting show today. So I look forward to that. I'm going to stay on the call with you. So as you speak, and I'm writing questions down and I'm going to ask you. So it's a little more interactive if that's okay for you.
All right. Excellent.
Good.
Yeah, interrupt me whenever you need to. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, super.
To start, I just want to say that, for most businesses, customer loyalty is the holy grail of what we do. It's the reason that we show up early every morning. It's the reason that you work long hours, and it's why we obsess over the business that we have or the details of everything. So it's no different for syndicators or other commercial real estate professionals. Achieving customer loyalty or investor loyalty is the ultimate proof that you've done your job right. It's that you're providing valuable service to people who appreciate it and are willing to pay for it again and again. So you may say to yourself, what's better than that? Well, I'd say not much is better than loyalty, except knowing how to create more of it with less effort.
It's like the Holy Grail, right? The chase,
Yeah.
the chase of the Holy Grail.
That's right. That's the thing you want. I've heard that the most important question you can have your customers ask themselves is, do I trust this guy enough to recommend him to a friend? I mean, that's what we want to get to, is somebody. So we'll get to that. That's actually part 4 is the advocacy. But
right, let's not jump forward just yet.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, we're going to take a quick tour of all those 4 points to see how you can get closer. And if you're not scoring yourself like 10s across these 4 metrics, we're going to give you some insights on how you can help yourself get there. A quick stat though, Gavin, did you know that it costs about 5 to 7 times more to acquire a new customer than to retain an existing customer? So
I would say that sounds about correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's huge. I mean, so like the ability to keep somebody with you is it saves you money in having to go and get new customers, but also when you have that customer with you, they're able to invest more or invest more quickly. It takes less effort. So, and they become advocates for you.
Yes. Yeah. They always say it's easier to sell to your existing clientele than to get a new client.
Oh yeah. There are a lot of barriers that you've already overcome with the existing guy. So the first proof point that you've earned your investors' loyalty is repeat business. So getting people to come back is the first step toward long-term loyalty. And given all the choices that investors have today, getting somebody to invest with you a second time is an achievement in itself. But how does repeat business happen? I want to just start with the science of how we make decisions. And this is a quick science lesson. So each investment choice we make, and actually any choice we make, we have to overcome this thing that I call decision friction. And decision friction is the hesitation that happens in our brain's limbic system. That's where all of our decisions are made. So in any situation where we're making a choice, whether it's what to eat, where to go, who to invest with, our brain is doing some math in an instant to calculate the odds of favorable outcomes. And it weighs tons of factors. So your brain's either going to give you the go-ahead to make an investment, it's going to ask for more input, or it's going to reject the investment entirely. You and me, Gavin, so when we're thinking of these things, like sometimes we can see that we're trying to make a decision and we're conscious of the process. And a lot of times we're not conscious of the process because it's just happening in the background. But either way, that math is happening.
Yeah. It's that thing that keeps you thinking late at night, right?
That's right. It's interesting because the that decision process, it takes a lot of mental energy, and our brain always wants to work as efficiently as possible. So it creates patterns based on our feelings and the situations and inputs. I should say that the limbic system is also where our emotions get created in our brain. So decisions and emotions happen in the same part in our brain. So it's important to keep that in mind when we think about how your investors or customers make a decision to invest with you. Is it rational or is it emotional? It's emotional, because that part of the brain is tied together. When we've created positive feelings like confidence or contentment for investors through our service, returns, or the experience with you, their brain puts you into the trusted category. So the next time that investor needs to make that type of investment, their brain has a simplified decision, and hopefully you're most likely it. And hopefully it's not keeping you up at night anymore.
You're right.
If you're not getting repeat business from investors, you can try enhancing your retention with these tactics. So this is something that's pretty routine in other areas of marketing, but I don't think investors or syndicators are doing this. It's asking post-investment questions. And what this means is, like, if you feel that the investment is over once somebody has transferred funds to you, so you're creating a transactional relationship and not one that's focused on long-term satisfaction. It's important that you don't see your investment or your relationship with the customer as one or two sales. It's a relationship that's going to extend over a period of years, hopefully decades. Excuse me 1 second.
Sure. Sorry. I think that's one of the things that these big companies and them do wrong. They acquire you as a customer, and I've had this experience, and I know many people have. They acquire you as a customer, and then they suddenly hand you off, and then it's like, well, the relationship is gone. They want to speak to you once in every quarter. And I had that conversation just today, and I'm like, well, that kind of leaves you with a bitter taste in the mouth. The trust kind of goes away. The whole vibe of it.
The connection, right? Yeah. So, but what syndicators or any real estate professional can do is train themselves and train employees to ask customers how they're feeling about the investment each quarter. So let's say you send a quarterly update about your investment. So that's an output, but you're not asking for anything in return. So when you send that out, it's a fantastic opportunity to reach out and say, how are you guys feeling about this? How's this working for you? Do you have any questions? So like, I invest passively in some deals, and I get my quarterly update. But I would love for somebody to reach out to me and say, hey, we recognize you're still part of this transaction. We want to know how you're feeling about this, because if I'm having concerns, now's the time to resolve them, rather than the concern growing to the point where I get my money back and I'm like, I'm never investing with these guys again.
Yes.
Continually having that relationship strengthens the facets of loyalty.
Yeah. I think that's a definite value added point there. You got to keep that relationship after you've gotten what you want initially from the relationship at the start. You got to keep people sweet. It's like, again, it's like dating, right? Somebody said that recently. I heard that in a podcast. The guy says, you don't just walk up to a girl, and then you're interested, and then talk to her once, and then, you get her and then you leave it. You got to keep it going. It's like marriage, right? You got to keep working at it.
Well, it's funny that you say that. It's because that the next thing I wanted to mention is this idea of reaching out proactively or spontaneously to ask your investors, people who you haven't heard from in a while, and ask how their past investment has improved their business or the way they live. Your focus should always be on creating value for them, and not just a sale for yourself. And the relationship with the spouse is an interesting one. It's like, I think relationship experts would tell us that the healthiest relationships are ones where there's a lot of communication. Like, people are asking, like, am I doing everything that you need me to do? Is there anything else I can do? Like, how am I performing? And I'm thinking, like, I don't know if I do that enough with my wife, but maybe that's something I can work on.
Well, they always say, if you have a very successful marriage, ideally you'll be very successful in business. And I know that we're having a bit of entertainment laugh today with playing around with the topic, but I think it makes a lot of sense when you look at it in a deeper level. It shows commitment, it shows integrity, it shows honesty, it shows what you're talking about, building trust and stuff. Everything, all those qualities are very much needed in building a successful business. So while we might have a bit of a banter and laugh today about it, it is actually a requirement for business, and keeping that relationship to keep that trust going, which I know your thing is all about trust. So in order for you to keep that investor's trust, as you said, you might just get your return and think, well, these people are not going to care about me. They got my money. Great. I'm going to take my money and run now. You would never invest with them, but you have to build that relationship. Everything is based on it.
Absolutely. Another way that syndicators or other real estate professionals can build that stronger relationship is, again, through feedback. And you can create something as simple as a survey and send it to your investors. Then you follow up with them. So create the survey, get the results, and then follow up with people. And you thank them for taking the time to to share positive or negative reviews. But if there's somebody who has negative reviews, you might want to reach out to them one-on-one and learn more about how they're interpreting the situation, or express your confidence that the next time you'll be able to better meet their needs. And Gavin, if there were a deal that wasn't performing as well as it should, and you see the quarterly returns and you're like, oh, okay, this isn't as great, that's one that leaves you with some feeling. But if somebody were to reach out to you and say, how are you feeling about this? Or let me tell you exactly what happened, or here's how we're going to do it better. And the next time, if somebody reaches out personally to you, that gives you a stronger connection to them, and you trust that they're going to do better in the future.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think you have a valid point there.
Yeah, it's when you ask for somebody's feedback, you're validating their opinion, you're showing appreciation for their investment, and you're just forming that deeper connection. So
yeah, I would sum it down to respect and loyalty as well.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Respect is huge. It's not just the money that we respect. We respect the investor who gave us that money or trusted us with that money. Yeah. Another thing to help build repeat business is to give investors a reason to think about you. So again, if we think about how marketing happens in other industries, good marketers look beyond a transactional relationship. They show care for their customers, or in this case, for their investors, even when somebody's not currently purchasing from you, even when somebody's not in a deal with you. So I got a text from a syndicator the other day who I'm not invested with, but I thought that was really helpful. So, and he doesn't have an offering at the moment. He was just reaching out to see how things are going, so it's beyond the transaction. It's about our personal relationship, and I see him as a human being now. So it's helpful, and it's a small thing. This is just part of what businesses, marketers, and syndicators have to do to create strong relationships.
Yeah, definitely. I think syndicators need to be building stronger relationships. And I just did a show yesterday with Mauricio Roll from Premier Law Group, and we were going through the new SEC regulation laws that are going to help syndicators to become more successful, and it's quite exciting what's going on. So I think definitely, being able to do what you're saying is easy, yet so many fail to do it because it's a good old saying, to do something but you never do it. Or you should do it but you never do it.
All right. Well, I'm going to tell the audience another thing they should be doing if they're not already doing it: creating content. So they have to create helpful content. So your marketing content strategy should be driven by one goal, and that's helping investors solve the challenges they have. And that might be a place to put their money during uncertain times, or trying to find a better than average return, or trying to just protect it. So when you create contextually relevant content, that shows that you have deep knowledge of what your investors need. You understand their intentions and you understand their goals. This helps create meaning for your brand beyond the investment or the product or the service. And creating meaning for your brand is the most powerful tool in ensuring long-term loyalty. So the brands that we have really deep connections with in life, it's not about the product or the service. We connect to the brand itself. And so when they introduce a new product or change the price of a service, we go along with that because we have loyalty. We've formed this loyalty because the brand means something to us. We share values, we share motivations or intentions for whatever outcome we're trying to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens in lots of other channels or lots of other industries, and I just don't see it happening enough with syndicators.
Well, I'm sure that we could go into a whole different topic about that, but we wouldn't do that today. But maybe something for a future show for sure.
Sure, absolutely. Another reason, or another way to help investors think about you is to participate in their community. So depending on your business, this could be a physical community or it could be an online community. And tactics here could include sponsoring local events or assisting in community initiatives, lending your subject matter expertise to online discussions through your social channels, and by responding to conversations on other people's channels. So again, the topic today is all about creating loyalty. People need to see that you're, first of all, intelligent, you're credible, you know what you're talking about. And you can't just do that through deal offerings, because that's a limited opportunity that you have, but you have opportunities every day to share your expertise with potential investors.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. The second proof point that you've achieved customer loyalty is increased investment intervals or amounts. If people come back to you a second time, that's wonderful. If they come back to you and invest more, or if they're coming back to you more frequently, that is even better, because it shows that your customer has more money to invest and that they trust you with more of their capital. You are a larger part of their financial solution. That is a sure sign that you have created loyalty.
Yeah.
If you'd like to accelerate your customers' purchase intervals, here are a few ideas. So create awareness for new investments, right? So you're likely already doing this as part of your general marketing, but I have to ask, like, are you approaching existing investors the same way that you're approaching prospects? Because I don't know about you, Gavin, but when I'm a repeat customer, I expect different treatment than a new customer, whatever way that is, whether they know my name or they know my preferences down at the coffee shop. There has to be a different way that you're approaching the repeat investors to show them that you recognize them and you value their business.
Yes. Yeah, I think that can be done with things like, sending them a birthday card if you know when the birthday is, and all those little touches. It makes a big difference.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. You could offer them early access to a new investment, or you could offer them like higher returns or a lower minimum. I've seen some syndicators do this, and so if you're hearing that and you're wondering, why would I offer somebody a higher return? Well, it's true that offering the higher return does cut into your margin, but you have to remember that it costs you significantly more if you have to go and acquire a new investor, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So the viewers have to remember, we're talking about building loyalty here, and the focus is giving repeat investors that preferential treatment that makes them come back. Another way to increase that investment interval is to learn more about your customer's reality. So you and me, Gavin, and everybody out there, we're not service providers, we're problem solvers.
Yes.
And I know that, like, I can only be as good at that as my knowledge of the problem allows me to be. And I would ask, like, whose life or business hasn't been radically altered since March of 2020? Our lives have changed. Have you reached out to your investors and said, how are things different? Have you tailored your message to show this increased understanding? Have you tried to form a deeper connection by saying, I understand that things might be different for you. Is there a way that I can work with you in a way that works better for you? Is there, have you taken money out of the stock market and you want to put it somewhere else? Put it here. I mean, so there are, look for reasons in the marketplace that allow you to communicate, again, not just to make a sale, but to build that relationship.
Yes. Yeah, sometimes just reaching out and saying, hey, how are you doing? How are you dealing with, in this situation, COVID? Is everything okay? Would love to jump on a call and just check in with you. I mean, that could be a big difference. And that could mean the difference between you getting more investment from them in the future and they referring you to 10 other people to absolutely nothing happening.
Right. Yeah. Can I just to share a personal anecdote there. So in March and April, a lot of landlords are starting to get nervous about whether they're going to start to see problems with rent collection. And for one of my buildings, I have a property manager in place. And I don't know if they're watching or listening to this, but like I have to tell you, I was very disappointed. I didn't hear one thing from them about what they're doing to either protect their business or protect my tenants, or to ensure that people are still paying on time, or if tenants are having trouble paying, have they put programs into place to try and help them find solutions? I didn't hear a word from them. So I didn't care enough to reach out proactively, because I have a pretty good connection to that building, the tenant. So I knew that everybody there was fine and everybody was paying on time. But I would have loved for somebody to reach out proactively, like you're saying, just even to ask me about like my life or my business in general. I mean, it could be that, which is a nice personal touch, or it could be just saying, here's how we're managing your business better. Here's how we're protecting your investment.
Yes.
So I would have loved to have heard that. But another tactic that you can use is to collect more investor data. And so whether you're collecting data yourself, like through social media or customer surveys, or whether you're enlisting a third-party vendor, getting eyes on what's happening with your investors can really improve how you serve them, and it can change the investment cadence. Like if I expect you to invest more with me or more regularly, I'm going to have to understand if that's possible for you to do, and understand those reasons, understand how I can approach you and put that offer to you.
Yes.
The third sign that you've earned customer loyalty, and Gavin, this is going to sound very much like we're having a conversation about dating somebody, but it's the idea of forgiveness.
Yes.
Forgiveness is a sure sign that you've earned somebody's loyalty. So forgiveness as a metric of customer loyalty shows that they have trust in you. And here's how this works. So there's no investment offering, there's no product, there's no company that delivers 100% at all times. There are occasional errors or miscalculations, right?
Yeah, I totally agree on that.
But there's value in having built a trusting relationship where people will forgive a number of mistakes, even significant ones. And there's research that shows that you can actually improve a situation after a mistake depending on how you recover. I think it's called the recovery paradox. And so research shows that 29% of people will increase their spending after a bad experience if the company's response is very good. So a problem happens. If you recover from that well by being transparent and upfront with them, you can actually increase that investor's loyalty to you, even if over a situation where nothing had gone wrong. So it's an opportunity.
I've used that in a previous business I had. I was a part of in the UK, and that worked very well. Admitting that you're wrong is always a good way of keeping them as well, loyalty and keeping them still with your network.
It's human, right? I mean, this is the thing. Like as consumers, like you and I, we buy into people and their purpose. We don't necessarily just buy an investment or a service or a product. We buy into a company's mission. We buy into a syndicator's purpose. We put our money in them, not necessarily their investment. So you got to come across as human. And what you're talking about here is absolutely, like in your previous business, which, being accountable is huge, and people react to that.
I think more importantly, being human as well, admitting when you're wrong, which is something that in the real estate world, I know there's a lot of egos, and I'd probably be shot for that, or there might be a string of comments after. But certainly in the UK, I mean, dealing with realtors and stuff like that, and I know some people in the US, it's all about the ego. But you gotta be. I think the most important thing is you never do business with a product or service or a company. You do business with a person.
Right.
And if I could recall every single time I purchased a product or invested in something, it was the person who was selling me on the phone that I built that loyalty with.
Absolutely. Yeah. the idea of admitting your mistakes, like you're saying, that's about being transparent, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like, it's like about like proactively contacting people when something goes wrong. You know, it gives you the opportunity to explain the situation from your point of view, and you can offer a solution to make it right. You know, because like if
Yes.
something goes wrong, people are going to find out about it one way or another.
Of course.
Would you rather that they find out from you ahead of time, or do you want them to get that quarterly report and it's like, oh, our collections are down this month, or we've got 15% vacancy? I would prefer that somebody reaches out to me informally first to explain why that's happening before everybody finds out. I mean, the truth is going to come out. Be transparent about it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But so something else I know we've talked about is like, transparency doesn't only have to happen when you've made an error. It's an opportunity to increase your transparency and boost your trustworthiness every day by expressing like the realities that your business faces. So this comes across in social media channels or employee stories or direct communication with your customers. It's about giving people this rounded sense of who you are as a person beyond just that investment. Because if you think people are just investing in that investment because of a certain return, somebody else is going to come along and offer a better return. And if people don't have loyalty to you, there's no reason to stick with you. They can just easily go to somebody else.
Yeah, definitely.
And the fourth sign that you've created investor loyalty is getting investors to work for you. So I'm not talking about putting people on the payroll. What I'm saying is realizing the incredible value that customers can offer you when they're advocates for your investment or your firm.
Yes.
And I mean, I think we know this. We know that referrals are huge. So if you're getting people new investors coming to you and saying, hey, so-and-so recommended me, congratulations, because you've created a strong army of advocates. And do you know how much it costs to acquire those new investors that come from a referral? Zero. $0. So that is huge. So getting somebody to refer you to a friend of theirs or a colleague is huge. And those leads are going to come to you warmer than cold leads. So how can you boost the number of brand advocates or investor advocates that you have? So there are two things. One of them, be better at what you do. There's just no other way to be better at what you do. And I like to think that there's this three-pronged approach. It's you, your competitors, and your own organization. So survey your investors, understand what's working, what's not working, get their input, help shape your focus. I'd say perform competitive analysis, because your investors have choices. The choices are your competitors. So you need to be better than those guys every day of the year.
Yeah.
You can obviously look at their investments and see how you compare to those, but also look at their marketing, look at the content that they're creating, the branding that they have, the customer outreach. But don't try to mimic their efforts exactly, because you have to remain authentic. You have to do your own thing, right? I think Henry Ford said, like, if I asked people what they wanted, they would have said they wanted a faster horse. I didn't want to build a faster horse. I wanted to build cars. So like, understand what people want, but solve it in your own way.
Yes.
And the last thing I would say is be honest about your culture. So you have to have trust and accountability between your managers and your leaders. You have to have accountability. You have to show respect for your employees. And the reason is that why are we talking about this in a conversation about investor loyalty? Why are we talking about how your company functions? Because the way your organization functions internally is exactly how it's going to function externally. Yes. So we see it every day with companies that we work with, right? Like, when employees are treated well, and you're like, this is a good company. They care about their employees. But if their employees are bad-mouthing their employer, that's a bad sign.
I've seen it from both sides of the table many a times. So yes, definitely. You get it a lot in restaurants, which is kind of probably one of the biggest examples you could use there, especially with a COVID world that we live in as well. Yeah. When I was in Texas, we had a lot of that. I had a lot of that for sure. So, Stace, that's a pretty good show. It was really interactive today. I really enjoyed that a lot. I think we should do it like this from now on. I was given some feedback as well. We asked people what it is they wanted, and people said we'd like to see it a little more interactive. So we decided to do it a little more interactive from here on out. But again, as we always do at the end of every show, how do people get in touch with you if they want to work with you?
Yeah, okay. So yeah, absolutely. So if people want to get in touch with us, I would say go to our website, which is trustdeepagency.com. There are resources there for investment, or real estate investors, all sorts of businesses. You're going to find resources there. I'd also offer the listeners, if they want like a consultation about their business, it's not a sales pitch. If they have questions about how they can build loyalty, I want to hear about their business. I listen, and I'd offer my advice. And again, they can find us on our website, trustdeepagency.com. Schedule a call, and we'll talk all about your business.
Sure, great, no problem. And for the listeners, if you're looking at us on YouTube, click on the link, the description link below. You'll see all the details from Stace, as he mentioned just now, but also you'll see his previous episodes with us on GCRE. Likewise, don't forget to look at us. We're on Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, Apple TV, Android TV, Smart TV, and we've just released this week, literally, our Android and iOS apps, which will have a link as well down below. You can click on it and download it, and support us. Again, like as Stace was saying, we'd love to have your comments or your feedback on this show. Anything that we can make it better for you, or if you have particular topics you want to put to Stace, we'll be more than happy to have it. But for now, that's pretty much the show for today. And Stace, it was nice to have you again, and I look forward to seeing you on the next show.
Absolutely, I'll be back next week.
Okay, take care. Bye.